Ramy comes in here and hits a slam dunk home run and wins this show, even if he's not quite at 100%, but he's close enough to win the show, he did what he was supposed to do. He came in here, he reestablished himself as the guy to beat. Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle news update. I'm sure most of you have heard by now. If you haven't, here it is. Big Ramy has thrown his hat into the ring at the Arnold Classic. Yes, you heard correctly, two-time Mr. Olympia. Big Ramy, who lost the Olympia this past December, has indeed entered into the Arnold Classic fray. Arnold, about a week and a half ago, raised the prize money to $300,000 for first place, $120,000 for second, $70,000 for third, and all of a sudden the athletes came flying. And man, was that a good move on Arnold's part. We got Andrew Jacked, who now is working with Chris Aceto. We got Nick Walker, the mutant himself, entering into the fray. It's good for the sport, man. We have Patrick Moore as well. So now we have Big Ramy. We have a lineup now. We have an Olympia caliber lineup to go up against the likes of guys like Samson Dowda and William Bonac, who already entered into the show, and of course Sean Clarita, our 212 Olympia champ, who's going to be the smallest guy in the lineup, but certainly one of the most deadly. This is a great show now. This is a good move for the Arnold Classic people to attract this kind of talent. The question is this a good move for Big Ramy? Only Big Ramy knows the answer to that. We could evaluate whether it's a good move for Big Ramy or not. Let's face it. He's got a bad taste in his mouth about losing the Olympia. Who would want to lose the Olympia? No one would. No one, even though Big Ramy was a very gracious winner and a very gracious loser, because you didn't hear any excuses coming out of Ramy's mouth. You didn't hear Ramy bad-mouthing anyone. You didn't hear Ramy bad-mouthing the judges. He took the loss, he expressed his thank you to people, and he said, I'll be back better than ever. That's a true champion. You know, you have to really pat Ramy on the back and hold him up at a very high esteem for being so gracious in his loss. But trust me, it was festering inside him and it was bothering him, and that's why he wants to get back on this stage, to prove that he still got what it takes to be great and to be Mr. Olympia. Again, the question is this the right move? Ramy doesn't need the money. I mean, and I know Ramy's not motivated by money, so I don't think this has anything to do with the prize money. You know, although maybe people involved with him find that it is worth the prize money. Obviously, 300 grand is 300 grand, but I just don't think that Ramy's motivated by money. That's not the kind of the guy he is. He's a pretty humble guy, and he makes a lot of money every year, whether it be from prize money and his endorsements and all that kind of stuff. So the question is, why is Ramy doing the show? Most likely because he wants to redeem himself in the fans and the judges' eyes. Is this the right thing to do? Ramy is a big guy. He routinely weighs over 300 pounds. Even on stage, he's about 300 pounds. It takes a big toll on your body when you weigh that much. Believe me, I know. I was that heavy. I didn't have Ramy's physique, but I was that heavy. And it's hard to peak your body multiple times a year, especially when two shows are that close together, but they're really not that close together. In other words, 2 weeks later, okay. 8 weeks later, not so okay. Your body needs rest. It needs to recover. You need to, come off the supplements. You need to let your body de-peak and then re-peak. I don't know if that's going to be enough time for someone of Ramy's size. This could be a problem, because if Ramy comes in here and hits a slam dunk home run and wins this show, even if he's not quite at 100%, but he's close enough to win the show, he did what he was supposed to do. He came in here, he reestablished himself as the guy to beat, okay? Beating some really good names, because this is not a slack lineup. This is an Olympia lineup minus Hadi Chupin and Derek Lunsford. So winning this show would certainly go a long way to helping his momentum, his view of who he is in terms of in the bodybuilding world in the judges' eyes, and also for his mental, personal confidence in himself. Because that's what it's about, right? He wants to regain that confidence. Hey, I still got it. I can do this thing at the highest level. However, if Ramy comes into this show and doesn't win and gets beat by guys like Nick Walker, Samson Dowda possibly, what if he loses to Sean Clarita? What if the 212 Olympia champ beats Big Ramy? Sean Clarita's got nothing to lose going into this show. He's not expected to do anything. He's not expected to win. He's a small guy, right? He's a 212 guy. Anyone he knocks off in that Olympia top 6 is going to be a feather in his cap. He's playing with house money. If Ramy loses to him, that's horrible in Ramy's psyche. It's horrible in the judges' minds as far as their opinion of Ramy and where he stacks up in this current modern day 2023 bodybuilding world. So he's got a lot at risk here. This is a very, very risky play on his part, I think, because if he doesn't win, he loses. Even second place, he loses here because he's got to win this show. So he better be coming into this show with the confidence level of, I'm going to win this show. I have the tools to win this show. There's no excuses. There's no, I couldn't train because I was sick. He's got to go in at 100%. He cannot lose this show because he brings less than his best. That would be a disaster for Ramy. So I really appreciate and respect the fact that he's willing to lay it all on the line. I just hope his body responds. And as a fan, I want to see Ramy in this lineup because it makes the Arnold super, super competitive and super interesting to handicap. Because now we're going to be, over the next couple weeks figuring out who's going to win. We're going to be doing our predictions. We'll all be probably wrong, as we always are. But it's exciting to do that. And we have a lineup now that is exciting. Arnold got what he wanted. The money did it. He showed them the money. They came out of the woodwork, and we got a lineup now here of really good competitors, Olympia quality, and we don't have like 30 guys in the show. So there's going to be a lot of call-outs, a lot of comparisons. Ramy better be coming ready to do battle because this is make or break, his career. Like I said, it is a risky move, but I like the fact that it's a risky move because that means that Ramy feels that confident in himself that he can come here and deliver the goods and knock these guys out, especially the guys that already have beaten him, specifically Nick Walker, of course, in this lineup. That's the only person who beat him at the Olympia. But there are guys, if Bonac shows up in shape, he could win this show. If Samson Dowda puts it all together, he can win this show. Andrew Jack is probably the most dangerous unknown commodity in this lineup because we have not seen him at his best, and he's still very, very dominant on that Olympia stage. If Chris Aceto dials him in and we see a 100% Andrew Jack, he can win this show. And then Nick Walker, in my mind, has to be the favorite going into this show because he's the highest ranking Olympia guy. He delivers it time and time again. He can peak his body. He's young. He can handle it. His body seems to respond when he puts his mind to it. And he's really never out of shape anyway. So he's the guy to beat. He's the guy who's got the most to gain in this lineup because he's going to make 300 grand if he wins. He's going to cement himself as potentially the number 2 guy in the world, despite Derek Lunsford's second place at the Olympia. I think this is a great move for Nick Walker. I said it right after the Olympia that Nick Walker should be doing this show. It's a risky move for Ramy because Ramy's age is a little older. It's harder to peak your body when you're that big. And Ramy has trouble peaking his body anyway. But I'll tell you this. There's no substitute for when you want to prove something to the world. Some people just need motivation to rise to their best. And this loss at the Olympia created such turmoil in Ramy's soul. It had to hurt so much to lose the Olympia at that size that it wasn't like he had a major injury. He just didn't peak his body. I'm sure that he is so driven right now. He wants a win so bad so that he can tell everyone and shut them up and tell them, look, I am not leaving. I'm still here. I'm still at my best, at the peak of my powers. I'm going to win this show, and then I'm going to go win the Olympia back. So this might be exactly the motivation Ramy needed to get back to being his best again, which we're all waiting for. What will happen? Will he be his best? Will he bomb out and might that be the end of his career? We're going to find out in a couple weeks, and that's what makes this so exciting. So Ramy officially in the Arnold Classic lineup, and that adds a level of competition that we never expected to see. Great job, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Man, you did the right thing and you got the right people. Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle News Update.